welcome back. We are effectively carrying on from where we were last time. Quite literally, it's only been, what, 15 minutes? And we're going to get ourselves back into this. Admittedly, you guys have had to wait a whole week. That's release schedules for you. Sorry. Not sorry. But we are going to get on pretty quickly with this. In fact, I'm just going to swap us back to that screen. It shouldn't have been on the other screen. Shows you how much I was paying attention. And just to make things clear, just really clear, today in the UK where we're all based today, certainly up where most of us are in the Yorkshire sort of area and thereabouts, it's been around about 24 degrees Celsius at the time when we started recording. For those over in America, that's about 75 degrees, and we start recording at around about sort of 8 o'clock in the evening. It's been quite warm. It's been quite warm. But on top of that, we are all effectively sat in, well, I know that Becky's in quite a large room, and hopefully the ventilation and the movement of air in there means it's not too hot, but quite a lot of us are sat in very small office rooms with not a lot of space and a big set of computers and all the rest of it. And I am melting. You know, this is the standard thing about the UK people, and I do realise this. We can't cope with weather. We know this. Don't worry about it. We will still complain about it. That's just our lot in life. But in either case, we are going to get into this pretty quickly. As long as my throat holds up doing the voices that I've decided to do for this creature, we should be having some fun, hopefully, with this one. But this encounter, you guys, I was sat here going, which way are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Which way are they going? This direction was the best option for this conversation. So I'm so glad you chose to go this way, because it brings into effect a question that I wanted to ask, which is, when you are doing pre-written adventures, how much do you want your character's background to be inserted into the story? And how do you want it to be done? Now, at the beginning of the last one, we talked about all this sort of cinematic stuff that you can do. One of my favourite things, and we've not done it in any of this, in fact, sometimes it's very difficult to do. Well, one of my favourite things to do is flashbacks. I love including flashbacks, and the reason why I like including flashbacks into games is because these four wonderful people, probably at least in mind, have a relatively detailed background for their character. At least an understanding of where they came from, what they've done in their lives, and what's brought them back to Atari to do this. And some of it will have been in our pre-games that we did that got some people into the system. And some of it will be just stuff that they think about on the fly. It's, okay, I want to tie myself into this. I like this. I could put this in my background and all the rest of it. And I always think it is a shame, and this might be just my experience of having characters die constantly in the systems that I've ever played. But I always think it's a bit of a shame when that background is never revealed. All you have is a character who seems like they have so much story behind them, and it never gets shown, it never gets revealed. So I like a flashback because effectively it allows you to give out your character background without any of the characters having to elicit it from them. You know, it's just that sort of thing of, I'm going to show the players where my characters come from, not the characters. And I like that as a style. That's the sort of thing. And obviously with something like this creature showing up at a point in Moz's life where he's on the verge of trying to join an organisation which makes you fight these types of creatures just to gain rank, this felt like a really kind of cool place if we'd had the opportunity to have that sort of flashback. And hopefully, obviously, the downside being flashbacks do elicit a certain amount of work from the player to write stories that the GM can then transmit and explain. So it's not something that we've done because I've not asked you guys to write down any sort of things like that, any sort of flashbacks. If you want to, by all means do. It's like writing a small screenplay. It's brilliant. In either case, what ways do you, as a player, expect the GM or like the GM to wrap your characters into the story that's ahead? I'm going to start with Becky.
Oh, bugger. I prefer the phrase, do you like, as opposed to expect, because, you know, at the end of the day, GMs do a lot of work behind the scenes for everything, so I never expect it to happen. I do enjoy it when it happens, because it just gives you more of a hook with your character. But that said, you can kind of run with things regardless. Because everyone here, as far as I know, who have LARPed and or done tabletop for a long time, so we're used to running with things on the fly anyway, so we can kind of handle it. Like, the amount of games I've played and someone's gone, oh, do you remember that time when? And then we run with something that actually never did actually happen in the game, but you can just run with it because it's just a bit of a laugh. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, I like it when people kind of bring character backstories in.
Okay. Kess, sorts of stuff that you like or would want your GM to do, I guess.
Yeah. I like coming up with backstory. I find I need the broad brush bits to help me figure out who the character is and what they're doing, and that's as true in LARP as it is in tabletop. Do I want those to come out in game? Yes. But I also like the storytelling narrative part. So we talked a bit in the intro last time about players who go on a 2-week hike across, characters that go on a 2-week hike across the landscape and their players just don't communicate ever. Whereas for me, that's a really good time to bring some of this stuff out. And I think when we introduced Invar into this game, we cut over the night in the tavern where she was getting to know the party and vice versa, and we did that off screen. I probably should get around to writing some flashbacks. That would probably be a good way of getting the backstory out there. But I generally prefer it to be more organic and just to be part of the storytelling and co-creating of the group. Becky's saying about creating a thing on the fly out of thin air is terrifying. I've been LARPing for 13 years and I've been crew for a good chunk of that, and no.
So, when you're GMing, Dave, how much do you try and adapt what you... Now, I have a feeling you homebrew most of what you're doing anyway, so part and parcel, really, of homebrewing tends to be bringing what the players have done for their backstory and making it come back to bite them. But if it's a pre-written thing, what sort of level would you do?
If it's a pre-written thing, I really wouldn't do anything unless the players specifically wanted it or there was something that screamed, hook me into a player's back. Largely because if I'm running a pre-written module, I'm running on very little brain power. And I am a very lazy GM at times. No, seriously. When I'm GMing Cyberpunk, it's kind of, I'll just let the players do paranoid theories and cherry pick which I think is best and pretend that was my idea all along.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is it. If I'm running a pre-published module, it's a reasonable amount of work to put people's backgrounds into it to a satisfying degree, other than going, right, you know this guy from way back. Ball up, boss, you've got a hook for this adventure. And if I'm running a pre-published module, chances are I'm not going to have time or brain bandwidth to do serious modifications.
going to the last person on the screen. This is your kind of thing right now because Moz is face to face with something. As a note, and I do love this. You guys wrote me effectively right from the very beginning, 3 characters which I could look through the book and go, oh, all 3 of them are going to end up with something in this, which is going to make them raise their eyebrows. And Inver, as you've come along, of course, we've got an entire thing which is full of undead, which is just right up your alley. So, but Moz now is face to face with a creature that he knows quite a lot about.
In theory.
Has
been studying a lot about anyway.
How much would you try and incorporate something like this? I mean, as I said, happenstance for me, and a happy one at that. But if this was a pre-written adventure and somebody had come along with a Hellknight, how much would you cater to that?
But coming from the GM background that I have never run a pre-designed module or pre-written module.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff I've run is out of my brain pan somewhere. So I very much lean into Becky's approach with the with the improv side of things. So when someone comes in with something like this, for me, it is a case of taking what exists already and going, okay, can we just modulate this? Is there something that fits in this slot that is going to have the same end result on the worldscape, or a similar kind of result on the worldscape that's not going to disrupt distinctly along? And can we just swap a water elemental encounter with this other isolated encounter, because these devils will have had a binding agreement with the entity that controls the gates, as opposed to the water elementals are bound to the end to do something with the gates. Is there something that can just be changed a little bit, just redshift it slightly? So if I can, and it's relatively simple, then yeah. If the player wants a full tie-in, sure. Give me a couple of points in your history, which is why I've kind of written out my character history as I have. Here is a constellation style pointer as to what this looks like. In between the gaps, go. Is what I'd prefer from a player, because then I can go, okay, you've given me all these key events. Well, I can pick from things in here and things in here, and suddenly I've got a scenario I can work with out of that, and I can wrap it all up neatly. But again, that comes from the improv side of, well, not improv, but non-pre-written background. So would I? Yes, if it's not going to have a disruptive effect on the rest of the environment, potentially the players.
Well, disruptive effects on players, or potentially, let's say, characters at this point.
Yes.
Moz, you are face to face with a creature that, as I said in the introduction, is well documented, and you've learnt many things about in terms of their place in the Hellknight sort of society structure. It stands in front of you at this point in time, snarling and infernal. And as it kind of looks at you, it's wrapped itself up straight, it's got its head up, and then after a little bit of time, it kind of looks down. And in common goes... Intruders, I see. But contract not to be closed again. I regret to inform you. You are under arrest for trespassing within the halls of Belfort. If you wouldn't mind just walking yourself into the cell, that would be very helpful.
I'm afraid we very much would. mainly considering, to the best of our knowledge, the current occupant or the titled individual is deceased, and as such, the title and the deeds are gone.
I am well aware of Belcora and her demise. In fact, it is currently one of the most frustrating things, because my contract with her is until she releases me, and she didn't.
So you made a bad deal. By the way, Neffy says that in Infernal.
Sort of
Moz is
looks
gonna
down past Moz, down the corridor, because you're still in the room at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Trespassers, come on, this way.
Moz is going to take a look at the scratches on the floor in the room, swing the door a bit. Look at the lack of scratches outside the door.
Yep.
So, out of curiosity, as a bit of professional courtesy, whilst your bounds are obviously, and your role is important, are you not a little bit restricted currently, or are you just making your notations here?
Each one of these, you'd be surprised to know, has been written over at least 3 or 4 times. I have been here for rather a long time. Don't get me wrong, it's not exactly the longest service I've ever had, but this has most definitely been the most boring.
Again, is it because you're in that particular space?
No,
or-
I can move
or do you
around.
have- Oh,
I
okay.
can, I just can't be bothered.
That's fair.
My contract was to be the jailer. Here is the jail. By all means, step inside.
And out of curiosity, if we were to step inside, what are the reasonable limits of your role here?
I'm the jailer. I keep you in the jail
Until
until you're released.
by...
Belcora.
Oh, that's a problem.
It would be for you.
Belcora's dead.
Well, there's a weird wispy shadow thing that's a couple of floors over. It's a little bit interesting.
No, Belcora's dead.
If we were disinclined to acquiesce to your very gentle and very appreciated and earnest request, how would that go?
Then I would have to fight you. Then I would have to kill you. And then your body would be put in the cell, just in case you woke up.
We're dead. We don't tend to wake up unless you've had some very interesting customers, all right?
1 or 2.
Speak for yourself.
Look, I'm not sure what... I mean, I'm supposed to arrest you.
How about, at a later time, we come back and allow ourselves to be rested once we finish what we need to be doing? Because at the moment there are other issues that I appreciate are outside of your contracted obligations that need to be taken care of, and there's a couple of other risks that I appreciate. Obviously you're taking care of the local inhabitants, but there's things going on outside the building that are causing a bit of a ruckus.
So I kind of realised that Moz at the front here is not the most diplomatic of individuals. In fact,
Oh, what a bluff going on.
In fact, not a lot of you really are the most diplomatic. Neffy's relatively good at it, and Phelan's not too bad, but they're kind of staying near the back.
Yep.
I would like Moz, please.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even really that good at deceiving people.
It It was an earnest question. So far, I've not promised anything, which is rather distinct. I was going to hope for angle for possibly a lore check to see how amenable these critters might be.
So, you don't need the lore roll. You know one thing, the major thing about them is they quite happily follow deals and trades. Because they're lawful creatures. They follow the letter of the law. And as you say to him, we could just come back and be arrested later. He kind of raises an eyebrow on his face, and I don't take that trade, but I will take a trade. He kind of looks you over and he goes, considering I've been here a while, but I've had the odd message back and forward. I recognise potentially the sort of icons on you. I know you deal with things like this. I give you a deal. Choose to take it if you wish. Should you return here, I will arrest you. Unless you bring me my contract, and then I can find out if there's any way I can get out of it without Belcora. Of course, I don't know where it is, and I'm not allowed to leave this floor, so I'm not entirely certain if it's somewhere else. And I will just state for the record, there's a few things around here that might just want to kill you, and not talk like I do. Is there a question from the back?
Yeah.
Yes.
What things have been bound with contracts? Because we met a cleaner.
He was also bound up, but he didn't want to know what his contract was.
No. So are there other beings that have been bound with contracts, like yourself?
Yes.
And
There are a couple.
out of the curiosity of reasonable definitions, when you say return here, you will arrest us, do you mean this floor, this building?
No,
this
right
doorway?
here to this chamber. I really can't be bothered to go anywhere right now. I've had enough of this job. I'm just kind of here. I potter about from time to time, but brutally honest with you, some of the things that are out there, I really don't want to be bothered with. I mean, they're not exactly difficult, but I just don't want to bother with them.
I can honestly say that we are going to be poking our noses into pretty much any
everything.
nook and cranny that we can get a hold of, because this one is especially a pie hunting individual.
Pies?
So we are, yes.
Do you like a bit of pie?
No. Why do you think... No!
So there is
Not even a dessert one.
Mm.
Yeah, there's
No!
a meat one and there's a fruit one. You said you were bored. Maybe you'd enjoy some food.
Yeah, I was gonna offer to bring some literature back for this fellow if we ever passing again, you know. So that
A book wouldn't be too bad. That's fine. Yes, okay. I mean, I've read all of the ones. There's a lot on this floor. You do realise you're in the library, yes?
Yeah.
Well, how about, as a show of good faith, we do find one in good condition?
Mm.
Hey. There was all those books up on the surface.
Yeah. Those research books.
Ooh, there were.
Right, hang on a minute. Am I getting turned round here? Or if we went up those other stairs, isn't that going to bring us out in the basement of that building?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably. I
How,
don't
sa-
know.
how safe do we reckon it is?
I mean, not much.
That fun-loving maggot type thing that tried to chew my face off repeatedly.
Yeah, but that was shut up somewhere.
Hmm.
I would go and bring him some of the books from up there. There might be different ones to the ones that were down here.
Hmm.
So,
So-
takes a bit of time, but you rush off up the stairs. It does indeed lead back to the chamber where you found the toolkit on the wall that opened up a secret door, and that is in fact the door that you exit out of, which is pretty much exactly where all the books are. You bring the various ones back down, and
Just bag of holding, we can...
yeah, I think there weren't that many, but there were a few. And you bring them. I would like you to make a diplomacy check, please.
Okay.
And on this occasion, I'm going to say you roll it because you will be aware of the results pretty much straight away.
10.
In total,
In total, I only rolled a 4 on the dice.
he kind of has a look on at you and just rolls his eyes. These. Yes, there's copies of these everywhere.
Ah, well,
I mean, these are the best condition ones I've seen in a while, but seriously. Anyway, look. Just really simple, okay? Come back here with my contract. Cool, we're all fine. I'll take that. Come back here without anything, I will arrest you. Or kill you, dependent on what is necessary.
I was going to say that
Mario.
we make our best efforts to do so. As you say, there are a large number of things out here that are hostile to the non-native folk. If we make our best efforts to find it, and we don't bother next time we see you, we will continue, and we will let you know how far and how wide we have searched the premises. Until you're satisfied. Would that be a fair balance? Bearing in mind that we may need to come and go a number of times, we are not perhaps so resolute and so robust as yourself.
I will state a simple thing for you then. There is a boundary line. Don't cross the boundary line.
That's fair. I'm presuming that we're using the doorway here as our boundary line.
That'll
Again.
do. For the purpose of
Okay.
this agreement, that'll do.
That's fair. And thank you for your patience.
Honestly, I've been down here so long. This isn't patience. I'm just bored. And really,
Understandable.
getting in a fight with you guys will only be entertaining for maybe 30 seconds. I can't be bothered.
In that case, then, I wish you a good day, good evening, good morning. You know what? It's been a little bit of a
Riddles.
while.
I don't know. It's just another mark.
And Moz will just gently close the door too.
Just before you go, can I have those pies?
I hand him both a meat and fruit.
not a cream.
Very quietly
Oh.
pulls them back from the door.
So, all in all, that's just another tick on the wall.
Oh, close the door. just.
Did we have basically Marvin the paranoid android in demon form?
Moderately. If he's stuck here,
I was
then...
thinking he was like a grumpy teenager, but yeah, that's more like it. Oh dear.
Being the size of a planet, and all they want me to do is escort the prisoners.
So, you close up that door. You hear vague sort of, it's all right, from behind the door. And you are left with the additional door that heads to the west and the chamber that you've exited from. There doesn't seem to be anything else around here.
Do we try this door?
May as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lytton this time first. Mold.
That's fair. I will put my slightly flabby ears to the door.
You do not hear anything.
In the immortal world, sounds fine.
You open up this to a long a long corridor. It heads 20 foot to the west and then starts heading south. But the main thing that is obviously of note is the fact that this is not just a corridor, this is a set of stairs that lead upwards.
Mm. Different part of the building.
I wonder if it circles round and has got that leechy, sluggy thing that you love so very, very much.
Because there was another door or so in the chamber, I think.
There was. And if there's one thing I've noticed about this place, it likes having pointless, redundant routes.
As lead this one be then, eh?
Yeah, I don't think that... I mean, there might be something interesting up there, but then again, there might not.
Take a walk to get to the...
So you heading up that way to check?
Just to have a wee scouty boot, yep.
So, to make life sort of easy for you guys rather than you actually running up there, unless you choose to, as you progress up those steps, they suddenly turn back on themselves in a spiral to a single door. If you do a quick, I'm just going to push this open and close it, you see the apparatus and the big thing that was in the centre of the room, and a large sort of slug creature which lifts its head up as you slam the door shut.
Our patented technique seems to have worked.
I will work on the principle that that is exactly what Moz was planning to do, and therefore not interrupt or stop that as a process, because in this occasion it seems the most likely thing.
Yeah, you're bang on with that one. By then.
Right, well, it's useful to know.
Yep. How about that whispery, quiet door of yours that you spotted? But none of us did. Down in the middle of the room.
Yes, that's probably a good next.
You all sort of take turns to listen a little bit at the door, and are unaware of any sounds on the other side. Checking what Phelan sort of identified. This is a fairly simple... it is a door. It's just designed to look like the stone wall. So you can get your fingers around the edge of it and just sort of pull it open, nice and simple. Inside, should anybody click on it, you find a kind of alcove, just a simple small alcove, within which are a series of shelves and bottles all over the place on the shelves. 4 of those bottles appear to still contain reasonable amounts of liquid. And we're going through a whole phase now of kind of identifying and checking all of these sorts of things out. So
I hand them to Imber.
these are crafting checks. These are...
No, Imber hands them to me.
Well,
Yes,
Imber's
I
not
can
too
do
bad.
that now. I'm not so good at it, I don't believe.
Yeah. So I will do a series of rolls for you both as we go down
I'm
all
not
of these
awful,
ones.
but
So the first bottle is passed around, and yeah, both of you figure this one out pretty much immediately. It is something known as a Bravo's Brew. Sorry. So that is a potion which, on drinking it, will give you a +1 bonus to will saves, or a +2 if you're making a will save against a fear effect. It lasts for an hour. You then have 2 potions. Sorry, it was I say it was 4 potions. It was 5. And this one's a little bit different because it's actually these ones are magical to a certain extent. And again, a number of you identify these ones, no problems whatsoever, as being 2 lesser healing potions. We have... Ooh, might be a bit tough.
Mm-hmm.
There is one potion that neither of you can identify.
Oh.
You're not sure what that one is at all. And then finally, a lot of people can do that. You find a bark skin potion. Now, and a rather interesting thing that they've added with the import, the creation of the official version of this, they've actually created little lootable items. So if you guys, now that I've gone in there, if you click on that new potion bottle that's appeared in the cupboard, you can actually drag the stuff off of that into your character. So on that sort of thing, if you want to distribute the potions that you do know, this is your opportunity to do it. But it also means that we can carry on, because you guys can sort of send that in a message if you want over Facebook or whatever, who's getting what items, and you can drag those onto your character sheets as and when you want. We do not have to stop or pause for this. We can carry on. You do still have... Go on.
I was gonna stick them in the anti-Neffy pouch, but I can't drag them. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I cannot drag and drop.
No?
Nope.
You don't drag the... No, you double click on it to open it.
Ah.
And
okay.
it's like a loot bag at that point.
Okay. So I will stick them in the anti-Neffy pouch and we can divvy them up later.
Anti-Neffy pouch.
What?
Oh dear, oh dear. Right, you have one more door in this chamber.
Yep.
That you can.
Spooky south.
To the spooky south.
Immense spooking.
You have a good old listen at that door, and you are dead certain, in fact quite a few of you are dead certain there is no sounds at all from down this way, other than, you know, the lightest amount of background music. There's effectively nothing on the other side of the door.
Hear my own theme music again. Something must be afoot. And Moz will open Neffy the door, or inval the door, or fail in the door.
I'll open the door. Fine.
And I will ready in action.
You open up the door to a 40-foot long corridor. As you progress down, 15 foot south,
Check
there is a
traps.
door on the... I'll go on, you know, that's part and parcel of an earlier roll. Just stop moving though.
Okay.
As you get to that 15 foot, there's a door to the east. Further 5 foot, door to the west. Then there's a door down at the bottom. As you get near to the door, the first door, love the fact that there's now ambient music for me and Neffy, because you suddenly start hearing whispering noises coming from the other side of the door. Ghostly overlaid voices whispering one on top of the other.
Shut me in here!
So, assuming Neffy mentions any of that, can I have my spirit sense checks, please?
You absolutely can, although if you remember, you had actually already done this and in the chamber above and had detected something. Considering you have not found anything which would normally trigger that spiritual sense, you kind of assume it must be around here somewhere. And as you get closer to it, you also will start to hear the noise. But I think you actually need to go about 5 foot further forwards, and then you'll hear it.
We open the door. I detect magic.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when those ambient noises kick in and people go, "Oh no, that's not nice."
Well, that's a little bit freaky.
I mean, the door is unlocked. As a note on your previous question, having looked up and down this corridor thus far, you have not seen anything which would make you think there is a trap.
Okay. I'm gonna open it. Eek.
For sure.
An ancient, tattered sofa sits against the east wall of this room. The south wall shimmers with green light.
What we saw up on the
It's
first basement floor.
real similar, yeah.
Mhm.
Do we go in?
I don't see an issue with it. Except for the fact that it's weird in hell, but yeah. Go for it.
Okay,
Again, the
as
room,
you
see if I can
step
find anything.
in, the green light again turns into that ribbony, snaky type thing that you saw upstairs and writes across the wall. Belcora fell to the Rose Guard, but we never knew of these vaults below. As it shimmers and flicks and shapes, it curls its way off the floor, begins to creep out of the chamber, heading northwards up past all of you into the chamber above.
Do I think that's a haunt?
No, you do not think it's a haunt.
Do I think it's a spirit?
Because it's that Olorin bullshit.
Again, it does. Not Olorin.
Not Olorin.
Again, it feels like an echo of something rather than a haunt or a spirit in and of its own regard.
Undead law kicking anything off? On this kind of behaviours?
Let me roll something and see what you get. No, this is way beyond your knowledge. Way beyond your knowledge.
Anything from Shadow Plane? Or undead from me, but I'm assuming not.
No, this is weird.
Okay.
Certainly not Shadow. It's definitely something to do with spirits in some way, but it's just not anything that you guys have ever considered or seen
I was going to
before.
say anything like occultism. Don't know, give anything off it.
Thinking it the wrong way.
Or religion, even.
It's almost like a recording of somebody's thoughts. Almost like something left you a message, or potentially is leaving you a message.
Do we
This-
follow where it's going now?
I was going to say to Invar, does this feel like the same kind of thing that ran the heck out of that room?
Think so? But where are they going? I mean, I've learned I'm not going chasing after it this time.
Good job.
I learned my lesson.
I don't.
Nerfy.
I was not surprised.
So you're saying we don't follow it?
Let's walk after it. Let's not go herring into rooms we don't know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in a brief description of what it does, and you can decide how much you wish to follow. As it enters into the octagonal chamber, not that it's a proper octagonal chamber, but rough octagonal chamber, it turns to the west not to the west, to the east, sorry, heads towards the stairs, goes up the northern stairs about halfway, and then stops and hesitates and travels back down the stairs, continuing east. And at that point, I will stop and let you decide what you're going to do.
Moz will follow on. And as it starts to cut across here, make a big sweep and grab up his caltrops before moving forward.
Okay.
Okay.
So it starts travelling here, at which point, as this large chamber appears, it turns northwards. And I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah. Traps check.
Yep. There's an actual barrier as well, so I literally can't do that.
No, there's a door frame, but it is open. Effectively.
But no, we aren't going running through doors. We agreed that.
Good choice.
Tempting as it is.
And yeah, you see it turn and head off north.
Going that way?
Let's get your eyes out. You got sharper eyes than the rest of us. Is this corridor safe, clear, or otherwise? I'm on your shoulder.
Before you do any more moving around. Okay. So with a little bit of sneaking and a little bit of observing and all of the various other bits and pieces that go with it. The first thing is, Neffy, as you kind of get to this corner, start looking out, and I realise the tokens aren't in the right place. You kind of get yourself into a position where you're sneaking as much as you can, and you look around the corner and you immediately see that there are a number of creatures in this corridor, but they do not seem to have seen you. These humanoid shapes are hunched over. The skin is sickly grey and taut against what little muscle is still left under the skin. The face is pulled back, almost long elongated ears and these sharp fangs. Their fingers are also elongated into claws. It's not the first time you've heard of or seen the undead. You saw it above. You saw skeletons, you saw zombies. And the stink from these things is horrendous. It smells of death. What you see before you are four of these creatures.
I'm not happy about this.
You see the green light wisp its way up to the north and then cuts across even further east. There's another corridor up there. There's also a very noisy bird outside.
There is.
Giving it
like,
some
hey
proper.
guys.
It's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to just warm
It
up
wants
the
some
room a bit.
exposure.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, so I whispered to everyone about what I've seen, and then it's, do we go back and finish the area we were in, or do we deal with this?
Well, there's nothing between this and us now, right? Or are there doors? Maybe there are doors.
There's nothing other than us being nice and quiet.
No, but we could go back and then there'd be doors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So we're going back.
Aileen, you're thinking?
I think we should back it up. If I'd rather know that we're clear behind before we tangle with these things.
I'd roll in on that one then. And as we back out, I will put the caltrops nice and tight, just like one step back from here, because it doesn't hurt if we do make too much noise.
Okay. You, with a certain amount of discretion, back yourself out of the area, having managed to avoid whatever observation skills these creatures have.
But backed off. Could I have tried to identify them?
You absolutely can, at least attempt to.
You're gonna say undead, aren't you?
I mean, you don't have undead lore, I don't believe.
No, I do not.
I'm happy to lean in with my own from the description that we get given.
I mean, you've got a slight downside of the fact that you're not sneaky.
Yeah, I'm just working off verbal descriptions from there.
Ah, okay.
He means I would explain it, and then he would kind of try and help me work it out.
Okay, so with a kind of assisting effectively on it, which is a successful roll by Moz to assist, which then knocks on the effect. Yeah, you know what these things are. Between the two of you, they are ghouls.
Goody.
They slow people down and eat corpses?
They are... Well, I mean, yeah, they're not exactly tough to fight. Probably by now, the experience you've got, you'd find them fairly easy. The downside is, if you ever got hit by them, they have a disease which will slowly but surely kill somebody, and if it's successful, they will rise as a ghoul.
You can heal that, right? Or not heal, you can treat it, right?
Yeah. You would be able to treat it. How successful that would be is debatable.
So we hit them with an area of effect fireball at some point, but let's deal with this corridor first, because I don't want to be near them.
Aye.
I mean, something brave sounding.
No, that's absolutely fair. Clear the first problem first. And might as well follow on and wait on Neffy's nod on the next set of doors.
No, she's
Cool.
gone completely past. So on the assumption that other people will follow up. Okay, you get to this door and you have a listen at the door. Nope, nothing specific really that you can hear behind this door. Nothing at all that really catches your...
Okay, I'm going to open the door then.
Ready and attack just in case.
Okay, you open up the door. An ancient sofa with its covering torn open and its stuffing and springs revealed sits against the west wall of this room. As you open up that door, I have a couple of questions for Neffy. Firstly, what level of perception training do you have? So that would be trained, expert, all of that sort. You are expert. Okay. Would you please make a perception check for me? I'll let you roll this one.
26.
26. So, the first thing you notice in this room is that on the north and south walls are two secret doors. In addition to that, with your eagle eye, you also spot that in the western wall, just visible, but because of your good perception and everything else, there's a pinhole-sized peephole hidden into the wall. Just this tiny thing, and you just about see it because with your dark vision, there's just something about it which doesn't seem right. However,
go on.
On top of that, as you look into the room, you get this sudden sensation that something is watching you. And it's at that moment that a huge red eye opens up on the wall in front of you.
Oh.
And I think we'll stop there. I think that's where we'll stop. I think my desire for creepy, horrible, and uncomfortable moments in time, I've just found one. So we'll stop there. We'll stop there for that one. It's a bit short. It's a bit shorter. It's probably one of our shortest ones, to be fair. But I think I really like that. I think I want to leave, more importantly, I think I really want to leave Becky with this for 2 weeks to think about. That's what I want.
Look what you've done, Becky. Look at it.
Look. Anyway.
Like rubbing her nose in it.
Yeah. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Well, we'll see you next week for the next episode of this. Hope you all had fun. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.